Captain Aaron Kessler had never imagined that a single moment of carelessness could change the future of humanity. The Horizon, a sleek exploration ship with reflective chrome surfaces and hums that sounded almost alive, had just landed on Zythera, a planet that did not appear on any human maps. The atmosphere was thick with violet mist, and the ground glowed faintly under the alien sunlight, making the world look like a dream painted by an unknown artist. Aaron adjusted his collar and stepped out onto the soil, feeling the subtle hum of energy beneath his boots. This was what explorers lived for: unknown worlds, mysteries, and the chance to witness something no human had ever seen. The crew followed him, their movements cautious. Lieutenant Mara Jensen, the ship's communications officer, carried a device that constantly scanned for life signals. Its readings jumped erratically, signaling the presence of something intelligent. The team had been trained for emergencies, but nothing in their training could have prepared them for what they were about to encounter. The towering structure before them pulsed with light, almost as if it were breathing. Its surface shimmered, fluid yet solid, like metal and water merged into one form. Aaron raised a hand to signal the crew to halt. The energy readings spiked, and a low vibration reverberated through the air. Then the figure appeared. It was the Queen. Her body towered above them, at least 3 times the height of an average human. Bioluminescent patterns crawled across her translucent skin like rivers of light, shifting in rhythm with her thoughts, or perhaps with her emotions. Her eyes were immense and reflective, yet they seemed to pierce directly into the minds of those who dared meet her gaze. Aaron felt a strange pull, a sensation as if every hidden thought was being weighed and judged. He had been trained to keep calm in alien encounters, to rely on measured words and neutral gestures. Yet his mind raced. He tried to remember a polite greeting, something that would show respect. Instead, words tumbled out of his mouth before his brain could filter them. "A nice place you have," he said, awkwardly waving at the glowing landscape. "Quite unusual." A hum filled the air, resonating deep in the crew's chests. It was not a sound that came from her mouth, it came from her presence. The Queen leaned closer. Aaron froze. Every instinct screamed at him to retreat, but his feet remained rooted. The closer she came, the stronger the mental pull he felt. It was as if the Queen's consciousness was reaching out, brushing against the edges of his mind. Images flashed, scenes of her city, floating structures that defied gravity, oceans that shimmered with living light. But there were other visions too, flashes of conflict, of creatures moving with precision and purpose, of rivals threatening her domain. Aaron realized with a mix of awe and terror that she was reading him, not just his words, but his thoughts, his intentions, even his fears. Every hesitation, every doubt, every unguarded memory was visible to her. He took a deep breath and forced himself to think clearly. Humanity had survived against impossible odds, and he would not let a careless joke ruin this historic encounter. He focused on calm, on honesty, on the qualities that defined his species: courage, ingenuity, and compassion. Slowly, the Queen's posture shifted. The red flashes in her patterns softened to amber, then to a steady green. Aaron realized he was being tested. She was not merely a ruler, she was a judge, measuring the worth of humans by their responses under pressure. He understood that words alone were not enough. Actions would speak louder. "Please, we come in peace," Aaron said, deliberately keeping his voice steady. "We mean no harm. We are explorers, seeking knowledge and understanding." He saw her society, structured, harmonious, yet capable of astonishing creativity. He understood why she had risen to leadership, intelligence and empathy intertwined. But he also saw the dangers. Rival factions, ambitious and ruthless, threatened her people. The stakes were high. Every choice Aaron made, every thought he allowed, could ripple into consequences far beyond himself. He had spoken without thinking, but now, through this connection, he had a chance to demonstrate why humans could be trusted allies. He focused on problem-solving. In his mind, he sent images of humans cooperating, building, and adapting. He showed innovation, like creating a bridge across a chasm with minimal materials, or calming a panicked crew member with words and gestures. He shared small acts of compassion, of empathy that were uniquely human. The Queen leaned closer still, her presence filling the clearing, yet she no longer felt threatening. Instead, she was curious, probing, measuring. Aaron realized the first contact wasn't about intimidation, it was about understanding. His species' unpredictability, resourcefulness, and ability to adapt were traits she could not ignore. Mara whispered beside him, "Captain, whatever you're doing, it's working. She's listening." It was exhilarating, terrifying, and humbling all at once. Suddenly, the queen withdrew slightly, her form pulsing gently. The hum that filled the air receded. Aaron felt a sense of release, though he remained on edge. The connection had not ended, but it had shifted. She had evaluated him, and while she had not yet accepted or rejected humanity, she had acknowledged potential. Then came the unexpected. A scout from her species appeared, moving silently across the glowing terrain. It was smaller, more agile, and clearly sent by the queen to observe the humans. The scout's presence reminded Aaron that observation did not equal acceptance. Every action, every decision in the next hours could either build trust or destroy it. Aaron turned to his crew. Keep calm. Show respect, do nothing reckless. That single moment, spoken without thought, had almost endangered the mission. Yet it also opened a window, a chance to demonstrate that humans were more than impulsive creatures. They were capable of empathy, strategy, and courage under pressure. The night on Zythera was unlike anything Aaron had ever experienced. The sky shimmered with auroras of violet and gold, and the distant city of the Queen glowed faintly, suspended in the air like a jewel. He could feel the pulse of the planet, the life that thrived in ways humans had yet to comprehend. Every moment on this world would test them. Every step, every glance, every decision was observed and weighed. As Aaron lay in his temporary quarters, he replayed the encounter over and over. He knew that the next day would demand more than words. It would demand proof. Proof that humans could adapt, could think creatively, and could act with honor. The Queen's lean had been a test of courage, a probe into the human spirit, and now he had to rise to the challenge. For the first time in his career, Aaron felt the full weight of responsibility, not just as captain of the Horizon, but as representative of humanity itself. If they failed, it could mean destruction, isolation, or worse. But if they succeeded, humans might take their first steps into a wider galaxy where their intelligence and heart were recognized and respected. The stars outside his quarters twinkled in silent encouragement. Tomorrow would begin the real test. The next morning, the air on Zythera was heavy with mist that shimmered like liquid silver under the alien sun. Captain Aaron Kessler stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at the glowing patterns of the alien city hovering above the ground. He could still feel the echo of the Queen's mind reaching into his thoughts the night before. It was a strange sensation, almost like having someone read the deepest parts of your memory without consent. Yet, instead of fear, there was a flicker of understanding. Humans were being evaluated, and now they had a chance to prove themselves. "Captain's sensors are picking up movement," Mara Jensen reported, her voice tight. The small handheld device in her hands displayed pulses of energy, evidence that other beings, not the Queen, were approaching. Aaron nodded. "Stay calm, keep your distance, but be ready to engage if necessary." "We don't know what we're dealing with." He adjusted his gloves, feeling the hum of the ship's energy field through the fabric. The approaching figures were unlike anything they had anticipated. They moved with grace, their limbs bending in ways human anatomy could not replicate. Their skin was translucent, pulsing faintly with inner light, and their eyes, though smaller than the Queen's, glowed with intelligence. Aaron realized these were scouts or messengers, sent to observe the humans' behavior more closely. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, raising his hand in a universal gesture of peace. "We come in peace," he said carefully. "We are explorers seeking knowledge and friendship." A hum filled the clearing once more, but this time it was softer, more melodic. Aaron felt it resonate through his chest, syncing with his heartbeat. He understood instinctively that this was an invitation to demonstrate human abilities, not a threat. "Captain, what do we do?" asked Lieutenant Ray, his voice barely above a whisper. Aaron looked at the alien figures. "We show them what humanity can do, without words. Let our actions speak." Aaron guided them to create small devices that measured environmental energy and converted it into usable power. The aliens watched silently, their patterns of light shifting in response to each successful task. As the humans worked, Aaron focused on maintaining composure. He thought about the Queen's presence, still hovering somewhere above the city. He knew she was observing, testing their creativity and cooperation. Every gesture mattered, every decision weighed in the silent assessment of humanity. Hours passed, and the demonstration continued. The humans encountered small obstacles, unstable ground, sudden bursts of energy from the environment, but each time they adapted. Aaron felt a thrill of pride mixed with tension. The stakes were immense. This was not just survival, this was a proving ground for an entire species. Finally, the Queen appeared. She descended from her city like a cascade of light, her massive form folding gracefully through the air. The scouts retreated, giving her space. Aaron felt the familiar pull in his mind as she leaned closer, her gaze penetrating yet calm. "Captain Aaron Kessler," she communicated, not with words but through thought. Her presence filled his consciousness. "You speak carelessly, yet you think with clarity when it matters. Your species is unusual. But potential alone is not enough. You must prove that humanity can endure beyond intelligence, that it can act with courage, empathy, and unity when faced with the unknown." "We are ready." Aaron felt the air thrum with energy, sensing the challenge immediately. "Stay alert," he instructed. "This is more than observation, this is a trial." Aaron realized that the simulation was designed to push them to their limits, to force decisions that would reveal character under pressure. A sudden obstacle appeared, a chasm wide enough to halt their progress. The platforms they could step on were unstable, shifting under weight. Mara glanced at Aaron, anxiety clear in her expression. "There's no way across," she said. Aaron scanned the environment, thinking quickly. He noticed strands of bioluminescent material stretching across the chasm. Carefully, he instructed the team to weave a bridge using these strands, anchoring them to stable points. It was risky, but the humans worked together, each move precise and deliberate. The bridge held. The Queen's presence intensified in Aaron's mind. "Your species' unpredictability is intriguing," she thought. "You improvise where others follow rules. You take risks with purpose." His instincts told him to act. "Move carefully," he instructed. "We can save it without putting ourselves in danger." The trial continued, each scenario testing different human qualities. They solved puzzles that required logic, built devices from alien materials, and navigated dangerous terrain. Every step revealed new strengths, every misstep highlighted weaknesses, but each time they learned and adapted. As the simulated sun set, the humans found themselves on a platform overlooking a valley filled with glowing plants and creatures moving in harmony. Aaron took a deep breath. "We've made it this far, that's progress. It's a test of everything we are, and we're showing them we're more than they expected." Yet one final element remains, the ability to work together under threat, to protect what matters without hesitation. Could humans stand united under danger, using their minds and hearts to survive? He turned to his crew. "This is what the Queen meant. We protect each other, we protect life, and we adapt. Stick to the plan, trust each other, and think creatively. Humanity has always found a way, and we will here too." Aaron felt the Queen lean closer once more, her thoughts brushing against his. Not as a threat, but as a silent observer, measuring the essence of humanity. For the first time, Aaron felt truly alive. The careless words he had spoken on the first day, the ones that almost jeopardized everything, seemed like a distant memory. They had opened a door, and now humanity was stepping through it with courage and clarity. The first clash with the rivals came, and the humans responded with strategic brilliance, using improvised tools, environmental advantages, and quick thinking. They avoided unnecessary conflict, focusing on defense and problem-solving. Every action spoke louder than any word, and the Queen observed intently. Hours passed in a blur of motion, thought, and energy. By the time the simulation began to fade, the humans had succeeded. They had shown ingenuity, unity, compassion, and adaptability. The Queen hovered above them, pulsing with a soft green light that conveyed acknowledgement. "You have demonstrated qualities worthy of recognition," she communicated. "But the galaxy is vast, and tests like this are only the beginning. Human spirit is extraordinary, and your species may yet play a significant role among others." Humanity had been tested and had risen to the challenge. The Queen had leaned closer, not in threat, but in curiosity, in recognition, and perhaps in respect. As the team gathered to prepare for their next steps, Aaron realized one thing clearly. The first contact had begun with a careless joke, but it had transformed into something far greater, a chance for humanity to be seen, understood, and valued on a cosmic scale. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Aaron knew they were ready. The humans had survived the test of thought, courage, and compassion, and now they had captured the attention of the most intelligent being on Zythera. The morning on Zythera began with a quiet hum that seemed to come from the very air itself. Captain Aaron Kessler stepped onto the glowing ground, feeling the energy pulse beneath his boots. The mist from the previous day had thinned, revealing the alien landscape in greater detail. Towers of translucent crystal rose from the ground like frozen waterfalls, and floating pathways stretched across the horizon, connecting distant structures in ways human minds struggled to comprehend. The crew followed closely behind Aaron, each step careful but determined. Mara Jensen carried her scanning device, which now pulsed steadily, confirming the presence of life forms nearby. Aaron felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Yesterday had been a test, and the humans had passed, but he knew the Queen's evaluations were far from over. Her curiosity was a double-edged sword, capable of both opportunity and danger. A sudden shift in the air made the crew pause. The ground quivered slightly, and a soft blue light formed in the center of the clearing. Then she appeared, the Queen, descending gracefully from her floating city. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed rhythmically, and as always, her eyes seemed to reach directly into Aaron's thoughts. The pull of her presence was stronger than ever, almost as if she intended to merge her awareness with his entirely. "Captain Kessler," the Queen communicated without words, her thoughts resonating directly in his mind. "Yesterday, you and your crew demonstrated adaptability, ingenuity, and compassion. Today, I present a greater challenge. You must show that humanity can endure moral trials under extreme pressure. Your choices will shape the Queen's view of your species, not as a collective, but as individuals who must act for the greater good. Think carefully and trust each other. This isn't just about survival, it's about who we are as humans." Strange structures of crystal and metal hovered midair, forming a maze of shifting pathways. The air was heavy with energy, and the crew felt an immediate sense of danger. "This is the trial of choice," the Queen communicated. "Within this environment, you will face dilemmas designed to reveal your character. Each decision will have consequences, some immediate, some delayed. You may succeed, fail, or adapt. Remember, courage, empathy, and unity are your greatest tools. Rescuing them would slow their progress through the maze, but leaving them would violate the principles Aaron had demonstrated yesterday." Aaron acted swiftly. "We help them," he commanded. "We adapt our path to save lives." The Queen's presence shifted subtly, a soft green glow emanating in acknowledgement. The humans had chosen compassion over speed, demonstrating that empathy could coexist with efficiency. The maze changed again, revealing a series of floating platforms over a deep chasm. Some platforms were unstable, swaying dangerously with the slightest weight. A narrow path led directly to the exit, but along the way, the crew noticed another trapped alien, smaller and weaker than the first. The direct path ignored the creature entirely, but Aaron realized that the Queen was testing whether they would prioritize the well-being of others over their own safety. "We can't leave it," Aaron said firmly. "We adapt. We take the risk." A platform ahead split into 3 separate paths, each leading to the next section of the maze. Energy barriers blocked 2 of the paths, and a voice resonated in the chamber, soft, clear, yet powerful. It was the Queen speaking directly into their minds. "Choose wisely. One path leads to safety. One leads to danger where lives may be lost. One leads to knowledge where understanding may be gained, but at cost. Choose not for yourself, but for all you care to protect. Your choice will reveal the essence of humanity." It was about demonstrating judgment, courage, and the willingness to act for a greater purpose. He turned to his crew. "We take the path of knowledge. It will be difficult, but the information we gain could help others, and it's worth the risk. That is what matters." The crew realized that the Queen was testing not just their actions, but their ability to confront fear and uncertainty. Obstacles appeared, floating platforms that required precise timing, energy pulses that could knock them off balance, and puzzles that demanded creative solutions. The crew moved as one, communicating silently through gestures and shared focus. Aaron's leadership was steady, but he allowed Mara and Ray to contribute ideas freely, demonstrating trust and collaboration. At one point, they encountered a glowing crystal that projected a human memory, one of Aaron's own, of a past failure where hesitation had caused harm. He felt a pang of guilt but used it as motivation. He shared the memory with his crew, not hiding his vulnerability. Mara nodded in understanding, and together they solved the next puzzle using lessons from past mistakes. The Queen's presence pulsed stronger. "You face your fears openly," she communicated. "You use knowledge, courage, and empathy in equal measure. This is uncommon among intelligent species." The crew grew exhausted, but Aaron reminded them to focus on what they could control. "We don't have to predict everything," he said. "We respond, we adapt. That is our strength." This crystal represents the culmination of your trial. To take it is to accept knowledge, understanding, and responsibility. But to do so, you must act together without hesitation, without fear. Your choice will define the Queen's judgment of humanity. Trust each other and act as one. The moment she touched it, a wave of understanding washed over them all, visions of Zythera's history, the Queen's people, and the potential futures for humanity. Knowledge flowed freely, yet responsibility weighed heavily. The Queen leaned closer, her presence enveloping them like a gentle storm. "You have endured the trial of choice," she communicated. "You have acted with courage, empathy, and unity. You have shown the qualities that make humans remarkable." As the chamber dissolved, returning them to the clearing beneath the hovering city, the Queen's glow softened. She hovered above, leaning closer, not with threat but with curiosity and approval. Aaron realized that this moment marked a turning point. Humans were no longer just explorers, they were participants in something far larger, capable of influencing events on a cosmic scale. The crew gathered around Aaron, exhausted but triumphant. Mara smiled, her eyes reflecting the bioluminescent glow. "I can't believe we did it," she whispered. Aaron nodded, looking up at the Queen. "We did it together. Humanity has a chance to be understood, respected, and valued. That chance is only just beginning." Aaron knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps more dangerous, perhaps more complex. But humanity had proven that it could endure, adapt, and thrive under trials that tested not only intellect, but spirit. As the sun dipped below the floating city, casting long shadows across the glowing terrain, Aaron felt a surge of determination. The careless words he had spoken on the first day had set this journey in motion. But it was human courage, empathy, and ingenuity that would define the future. And the Queen's lean, once intimidating, now felt like an invitation to continue proving that humanity was capable of greatness. The air on Zythera was thick with anticipation as Captain Aaron Kessler and his crew stood beneath the floating city of the alien Queen. The first trials had tested their minds, their morality, and their courage, but today they sensed a deeper challenge, a trial that would test their ability to act under real danger, not controlled scenarios. The Queen hovered above, her presence immense, her bioluminescent patterns shifting like liquid light, reflecting thought, calculation, and curiosity. Aaron studied the horizon. In the distance, dark shapes moved through the mist. Sensors on Mara's device confirmed it. A rival alien force was approaching, one that had been hinted at in the Queen's visions during the previous trial. They were sleek, aggressive, and organized. This was no simulation. This was a real threat to Zythera. Aaron took a deep breath. "Everyone, get ready." This is what the Queen meant when she said our greatest test was yet to come. Stay alert. Watch each other's backs. We adapt, we survive, and we protect life, no matter what. Aaron's crew was small in comparison, but they were humans, and humans were unpredictable. That unpredictability could be their greatest advantage. "Captain," Mara whispered, "we can't fight them head-on. They'll overwhelm us." That's what makes us dangerous in ways they can't predict. They positioned themselves strategically, not relying on brute force but intelligence and creativity. The first wave of attackers arrived. Energy pulses shot across the terrain, and humans dodged, rolled, and used the improvised devices to redirect energy blasts back at the attackers. The Queen observed silently, leaning closer, her presence a mixture of curiosity and approval. The humans' tactics were unconventional. They used the glowing flora as camouflage, created decoys with reflective materials, and lured the enemies into narrow chasms where their numbers counted for less. Each move demonstrated human ingenuity under pressure, and slowly, the tide began to turn. But then came the critical challenge. A group of enemy scouts cornered a small alien village below the floating city. The villagers were vulnerable, defenseless, and could easily be destroyed in seconds. Aaron realized this was the real test, not just survival but moral courage under life-and-death stakes. "We have to help them," Aaron said firmly, "even if it puts us at risk." That's what the Queen wants to see, our humanity in action. The humans moved as a unit, their minds and instincts working together in a way that no alien army could anticipate. The rival attackers advanced toward the village, but humans used every tool at their disposal. Improvised energy nets captured enemy forces mid-flight, reflective panels redirected pulses, and the terrain itself became a weapon. Slowly, the humans' clever tactics began to repel the invaders. The Queen's presence pulsed more intensely in Aaron's mind. Your species demonstrates courage, ingenuity, and loyalty, she communicated. Your creativity in the face of danger is remarkable. Aaron knew they could not overpower it with raw force. He needed a plan that relied on thinking, coordination, and human unpredictability. Divide into teams, he instructed. We distract, we disable, and we protect the civilians. Use the environment, improvise. Using energy disruptors and reflective surfaces, he created a trap to redirect the war machine's energy pulses back toward itself. It was risky. A single misstep could destroy them all. But humans thrived on risk, especially when combined with clever thinking. The plan unfolded with tense precision. Humans moved swiftly, placing devices, adjusting angles, and timing each action to perfection. The war machine advanced, its destructive energy pulsing, but then, at the critical moment, the trap activated. Pulses reflected back at the attackers, temporarily disabling their machinery. The humans seized the opportunity, coordinating attacks that dismantled the remaining enemy forces. When the last of the rivals fled, the village was safe. The villagers emerged, their bioluminescent forms glowing brightly in gratitude. The humans had not only survived, they had protected life and demonstrated leadership under extreme threat. The queen descended, her massive form hovering above the clearing. She leaned closer, her presence more overwhelming than ever. Aaron felt every thought, every emotion, every decision he had made pulsing through the connection between them. You have endured, she communicated. You have acted with courage, intelligence, and empathy. You have shown that humans are not merely survivors. They are capable of leadership, innovation, and moral action. Your species is extraordinary. Captain, do you think they'll let us continue with them, with the Queen? That is worth something, even in a galaxy far older and wiser than we are. The humans prepared to rest, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests of ingenuity, courage, and unity. But tonight, they had survived, protected life, and shown the strength of human spirit. For Aaron, it was clear. The careless words he had spoken on the first day, which had almost endangered the mission, had led them to this moment. It had opened a door to a future where humans could be recognized not just as explorers, but as equals capable of shaping interstellar events. The stars above Zythera shimmered, reflecting in the eyes of the crew. Captain Kessler felt a surge of determination. Humanity had survived trials of thought, morality, and combat. Now they had the Queen's attention, and they had proven that humans were capable of greatness in ways that no other species could anticipate. As night fell over the glowing landscape, the crew gathered near the horizon. Aaron looked up at the hovering city. The Queen's presence pulsed gently in the distance, leaning closer not as a threat, but as a silent promise that the true test of humanity was only just beginning. The dawn on Zythera was unlike any dawn humans had ever witnessed. Light poured through the floating city, casting long, shimmering reflections across the violet mist of the planet. Captain Aaron Kessler stood at the edge of the clearing, the horizon behind him, and the Queen's immense form hovering silently above. The air was alive with a subtle energy hum, a heartbeat of the planet that resonated in every step he took. Yesterday, the humans had faced their most dangerous trial yet, repelling the rival alien faction and protecting the innocent. Their ingenuity, courage, and teamwork had been tested under pressure, and they had triumphed. Yet Aaron knew the Queen's assessment was not finished. She was not simply judging survival or combat skills. She was measuring the essence of humanity, the qualities that defined them in ways no alien race had ever witnessed. The Queen leaned closer, her presence vast and luminous. For a moment, Aaron felt his mind stretching to accommodate her awareness, like a sail catching a sudden gust of wind. But there was no threat in her leaning. Instead, there was a calm curiosity, a deliberate study of the humans who had survived, adapted, and proven themselves worthy. You have endured simulations, moral challenges, and external threats, the Queen communicated directly into his thoughts. You have acted with intelligence, courage, and empathy. You have shown creativity where others follow rules, and you have demonstrated moral discernment where others act by instinct alone. Your species is remarkable. Thank you, he replied mentally. Humanity has always found ways to survive and thrive, even against impossible odds. We adapt and we protect life whenever we can. You have proven that humanity is not only capable of survival, but of leadership and moral decision-making beyond immediate self-interest. You have shown ingenuity where none was expected, courage when fear was justified, and compassion even when the cost was great. Captain, does this mean we've succeeded? Is this the acknowledgement she promised? That potential comes with expectations, to continue acting with wisdom, courage, and empathy in the galaxy. It was as if she was offering partnership, a bridge between human and alien understanding. You will not face the galaxy alone, she communicated. We will provide guidance, knowledge, and alliance. But the choice is yours, to act with honor, to protect life, and to continue proving that humanity is a species worthy of trust and respect. For a moment he closed his eyes, reflecting on everything they had endured, the careless words that had sparked the initial test, the trials of morality, the dangerous encounters, and the external threat they had overcome. Each moment had been a lesson, each challenge a demonstration of human spirit. And now it had culminated in this moment, a recognition that humans were more than explorers. They were partners, allies, and a species capable of shaping interstellar events. The Queen's presence pulsed gently. There is one final demonstration, subtle but essential, she said. It is not about survival or intellect or courage. It is about vision, the ability to see beyond the immediate, to understand consequences, and to act for the greater good of not only your species but others. Will you rise to that responsibility? That is who we are. Humans had been tested in a microcosm on Zythera, and now the same principles, intelligence, courage, empathy, and adaptability would guide them in the wider universe. Humans are unpredictable, the Queen continued. That unpredictability, combined with your moral compass, your courage, and your creativity, makes you unique. Few species can act with both logic and heart in balance. You have shown that humanity can rise above chaos, can adapt beyond expectation, and can inspire trust even in the unknown. Humanity had faced countless challenges in its history, yet nothing compared to this moment. The recognition of a species older and wiser than they were, a species that could read thoughts, judge intentions, and measure character in ways humans could barely understand. Yet the Queen had seen value, potential, and promise. Mara spoke softly. Captain, what now? Do we stay here or return to the horizon? The Queen has given us an opportunity, one that we cannot waste. But remember, potential is meaningless without action. Your future will be defined not by what you can do, but by what you choose to do. Will you act with courage, compassion, and wisdom? We will continue to do so, for ourselves, for others, and for the universe we are only beginning to understand. Your journey is only beginning, but your potential has been seen, acknowledged, and respected. The crew gathered around Aaron, exhausted but exhilarated. Mara smiled, eyes wide with wonder. We did it. We actually did it. This is the moment we step into something bigger than ourselves. Humanity had risen to the challenge, and the universe now knew that they were more than explorers. They were thinkers, leaders, and a species capable of greatness. As the sun of Zythera bathed the floating city in golden light, Aaron felt a surge of hope. The trials, the dangers, the moral dilemmas, and the battles had led to this moment. Humans had spoken with actions rather than words, and those actions had resonated across space and mind. Mara looked at him with quiet admiration. Do you think this changes how other civilizations will see us? That is something no one can ignore. She leaned closer, not in threat but in silent acknowledgement, a promise that humanity's potential was now visible, and that their journey across the stars had only just begun. The engines of the horizon hummed to life, and the ship lifted off, gliding past the floating city. Aaron felt the familiar pull of space and possibility, but also the weight of responsibility. Humanity had been recognized not just for survival, but for its spirit, intelligence, and moral courage. That recognition was both a reward and a challenge, a call to continue proving themselves in a vast, unpredictable universe. As Zythera receded beneath them, glowing softly under the alien sun, Aaron felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had ever known. The Queen's acknowledgement had confirmed that humanity was capable of greatness, and the universe awaited their next steps. They had spoken through actions rather than words, and now their story was just beginning, a story of courage, ingenuity, empathy, and the unyielding human spirit. The stars stretched before them, infinite and inviting, and Captain Aaron Kessler knew one thing with certainty. Humanity would rise to meet every challenge, not just because they had to, but because it was who they were.